We're here! Did we miss anything?
We would not presume to begin without you, Ida. Orianger has returned to the Waking Sands, but everyone else is now present.
Yes, but for what exactly? We all have duties to attend to, Alphino, so you may dispense with the preamble.
Thank you, Elisée. It is the very subject of those duties which compelled me to call this gathering. Though the warriors of darkness no longer pose a threat, Eorzea's many troubles demand no less of our attention. And while I stand by the decision to approach each task as we see fit, I fear our effectiveness will ultimately be diminished should we continue to act in ignorance of each other's efforts. Thus, I propose we elect a successor to Minfilia. Not to serve as a fully fledged antecedent, perhaps, but as a coordinator of operations.
Is that all? Oh, then the decision seems clear. No one else has shown any enthusiasm for the role, and judging by your performance at our previous meeting, you would seem the perfect candidate. You always did have a flair for politics.
I did not mean to... That was not my intention. As my tenure as commander of the Crystal Braves comprehensively demonstrated, I lack the qualities required for such an office. I would much prefer to remain as I am now, a soldier in the field, so to speak.
Should none of our number step forward, must we then constrain some unwilling candidate to take up the position?
Well, based on merit alone, a certain adventurer would be my choice, though I concede she might struggle to balance her new responsibilities with, let me see, slaying primals, thwarting legatuses, and feeding the orphan poor.
Thancred makes a good point. Any who would wear such a mantle would be bound by its obligations. Have we not become sufficiently familiar with each other's methods to act without an overseer? At present, I see no cause to so willingly limit one of our number.
Oh my goodness! Help! I need some help here!
Tataru, are you all right?
Me? I'm fine. It's this poor girl who just staggered in and collapsed on the floor that I'm worried about.
Narco! God, how did... Yashola! Please, you have to help her.
Kral, a hand if you would. Let us see about closing these wounds.
Now, we've staunched the bleeding, but it may be a while before you can move about again. Though having seen your wounds, I'm surprised you are still moving at all.
Thank you. My message. It was too important to delay. I took the shortest route I could, though I knew it was more heavily patrolled. As you can see, my efforts at evasion were not entirely successful.
Honestly, you're too brave for your own good. What was so urgent that you needed to fight half the Empire to get here? You could have been killed.
I'm sorry, Ida. I had good reason. But I imagine your friends are wondering who this bloody mess of a Mikote is. My name is Minago, and I belong to the Alamegan Resistance. I came to warn Ida and Papalimo about one of our leaders. A man who calls himself the Griffin. He's always been dangerous, but he's planning something new. Something reckless.
The Griffin, you say? I've heard the name. Rumor has it your man is eager to test his claws.
Aye, and on no easy target. He means to assault Belsar's wall from the Alamegan side.
But what does the Griffin possibly hope to gain from such an attack?
From what I understand, he wants the fires of war to spread to Eorzea. And for that, he needs to control the border with Gridania.
So, he means to spark a conflict between the Alliance and the Imperial forces stationed in Alamigo, to have Eorzea's armies aid in the liberation effort, whether they will it or no.
His plan is flawed. Even should the Resistance succeed in occupying the wall, they would not be able to hold it. Imperial reinforcements would drive them out within a week.
Be that as it may, if there is even a chance that this scheme could bring about an escalation in hostilities between Eorzea and the Empire, the Alliance must be informed.
Agreed. I should depart for Limsa forthwith and seek an audience with the Admiral. Thancred, Uldar is yours. Alphino and Alize, make haste to the Twelveswood and notify the Elder Seedseer of the danger to Gridania. She will duly call a council of the Alliance leaders, whom you must be ready to receive. You will be our voice in Ishgard. Explain the situation to Sir Emmerich and encourage him to send an envoy. Tataru, Krile, I leave the care of our injured messenger to you. See that she remains quiescent and her wounds closed. I believe that covers everything. Let us be about our tasks.
I suspect the ill tidings from Girabania will be held as a turning point. The beginning to a bloody end. The business of war was ever conducted with the coin of self-sacrifice. 'Twas Master Louis Soir himself who taught us that such costs are not to be ignored or denied. And so, I shall embrace them. When the time comes, I will make my choice, as you will yours.
I bid you welcome, my friends. As you will by now be aware, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn have come into possession of certain intelligence concerning recent developments in the region of Gyr Abania. It springs, I am assured, from an unimpeachable source. Is that not so, Master Alphino?
Indeed, Elder Seedseer. Our information comes directly from a member of the Resistance's inner circle, and we have no cause to doubt its veracity.
This griffin of theirs is a fool if he thinks he can hold Belsar's wall against the Empire. When the Imperials move to take it back, they will come in force, and the resulting fighting is all but certain to spill over into the Black Shroud.
At the Battle of Cartano, the combined might of 3 grand companies labored to contend with the remnants of but a single Imperial legion. Alone, Gridania would be hard-pressed indeed to hold back the tide, should the Garleans turn their minds from reclamation to invasion.
May I once more convey my nation's deepest regrets for our inaction in the days prior to the calamity. 'Tis a stain upon our ledger that I would fain remove. Elder Seedseer, I do hereby request leave to deploy a defensive force within the borders of Gridania. Ishgard's return to the Alliance shall be honored by more than mere ink upon parchment.
The Doman people too would join any effort that weakens our common foe. We are few, but our most seasoned shinobi are at your disposal.
On behalf of my people, I offer you my humble thanks. Gridania welcomes your assistance.
It is time we set our contingency plans in motion. Is the Alliance agreed? Then let us make ready for war. Victory favors the swift, and there is much to be done.
The Council knows that Alamigo will not soon be wrested from the Empire, and its decision to bolster the border's defences seems eminently practical. Why then, brother, do you scowl so?
I agree that they have chosen the wisest course available, indeed the only reasonable one. Yet something feels awry. In making ready for war, is the Alliance not granting the Griffin the very thing he desired? Any attempt to hold the wall is doomed to failure, aye. But I wonder if we have misjudged the prize for which he plays.
I'll tear you limb from limb. Yeah. Sloppy. For our amigo! I have you now. Yeah. How'd you like these? Yeah! Sloppy. Yes. Yeah. 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 Sloppy. Yeah. I'll tear you limb from limb. Yeah. Sloppy. For al amigo! I have you now. Yeah. How'd you like these? Yeah! You've beaten me, aye. But you cannot stop what I've begun. Behold! A glimpse of things to come!
We did it! We showed the bastards! Aye! Victory is ours!
And who knows, lads? Mayhap the Eorzeans will finally see sense when the enemy turns up on their bloody doorstep.
This is for Al Amigo, for Eorzea. They die that others may live. Vanguards! Attack!
Seven hells! Do you hear that?
War machines. How did they get here so quickly? Stand your ground! For the resistance!
There's nowhere to run! We're cut off!
Gods help us! What are we thinking? The Empire's too big. Too powerful. Mighty Ralker, grant us the strength to crush our...
There you are.
As you can see, our infiltrators did not elude me for long. Lady Ugiri is sending for an airship even as we speak.
What do we do? This is a massacre!
How wonderful to see you, Commander.
Ill-bird. I should have known. This has to end. It has to end now. Do you not see your countrymen dying? Have your ideals rendered you blind even to that? Order the retreat, and we will help your soldiers to safety.
Retreat? With the moment of my triumph so close at hand? You truly are a sheltered child, Leveilleur.
Nidhogg's eyes. No abyss is too deep for you, I see. But trust me when I say that such power was not meant for mortal hands.
How long have I struggled to reach this point? My countrymen, so inured to the taste of defeat, they no longer balk at its bitterness, shouting my throat raw with rallying cries, only to be greeted with dull eyes and blank faces. My brothers and sisters in Ulda have surrendered to their apathy and their appetites. Were it not for the glint of Lodorito's coin, I doubt even those here now would have answered my call. Take back our homeland! Free Alamigo! Ha! They'll happily mouth the words, but they won't spill the blood. You say no mortal should wield these eyes? Then I shall gladly become a demon. I will suckle on the souls of the hopeless and liberate the homeland they no longer deserve.
What exactly do you mean to do?
Did you hear their cries as victory was snatched away from them? Even with their dying breaths, they cursed the Empire. Never has their desire for vengeance been so raw, so true. A god has no need of faith when summoned by so pure a purpose.
Summoned? You cannot mean to fight the Empire with a primal! You know full well the danger, the futility of relying on such power!
Oh yes, I know their limitations. Which is why I will call upon a deity more terrible than the very black worm of the calamity itself.
What? Here? Now?
Like hells you will!
An ending to mark a new beginning. My pain, my longing, you shall have it all!
This light, is it...
His death completed the ritual. The primal is taking shape.
Well, can't we stop it? There must be something we can do!
There is one thing.
What? Hey! Where do you think you're going?
Master Louisoix briefly contained Bahamut by means of a potent spell of sealing. I will now attempt to do the same.
But that's impossible! We would need hours to collect the necessary ether, if not days!
Alphino, though I concede it may not always be apparent, I was ever your grandsire's finest pupil.
Tipsamati, of course! The staff still holds enormous power, broken or not.
Don't you dare, Papalymo! I know how that spell works! It is time to leave!
Quite right! Quickly now, off you go! The further away, the better!
No! If you're staying, then so am I!
No, Ida! There is a path only you can walk, and it must not end here, not like this! Take her! Please, you have to take her!
What? No! Damn it, Thancred! Put me down! Thancred!
This is one battle you cannot fight. Away with you! Go!
Hilda! I think he means now!
I bid thee farewell again, my dear Ida. Now, let us see how good a student I truly was.
A word, if you would, good sir. This place, it is within the realm of Eorzea.
You're an odd-looking fellow, aren't you? Still, takes all sorts, I suppose. This here's Vesper Bay, Thanalan's door to the ocean, as some folk like to call it.
Am I to understand from your answer that I have indeed arrived in Eorzea?
Eh? Yes, you're in Eorzea.
Ah! A plain response at last, and the one I wanted at that. My journey was not without its hardships, and I would sooner travel by land than put to sea again. You do not believe that so small a bark could bear me across the ocean? Such timid little sailors. I had but to set my course and set my jaw till I made port. Though, 'twould perhaps have been wise to lay down my oars a moment to sup on more than the spray of brine water. By the trembling of my limbs, I sense a brief repast may be in order. Nay, I will not hearken to the feeble grumblings of an empty belly. Duty comes before all.
Good God, man! Are you all right?
Thou art far indeed from home, friend.
Dear friends, pray accept my heartfelt thanks for your efforts in defense of Gridania's borders. I would fain dwell longer on my gratitude for the support of the Alliance, but the situation at Belsar's Wall demands that we forego such pleasantries.
According to our most recent intelligence, the cocoon of light that formed in the air above the wall remains undimmed and unbroken. After measuring the cocoon's etheric concentrations, Archon Y'shtola has confirmed the presence of a primal entity.
So we must assume that Ilbert's thrice damned god is indeed trapped within. And what news of the Imperials? They're not like to ignore such a spectacle.
Sir, a Garlean airship was observed making an approach, but the vessel was destroyed when it drew near. The Empire appears to have made no subsequent attempts to reach the object.
The soldiers who witnessed the incident spoke of a lance of light issuing from within the cocoon, of an entire warship being reduced to smoking ruin in the space of a moment. Veterans of Cartano, meanwhile, likened the destruction to that wrought by the fiery wrath of Bahamut.
We could face another calamity.
So the Primal is awake then? Contained, yes, but for how long? We must destroy it now, lest it break free.
Agreed. There is, however, the small matter of how to get close enough to a being that swats warships from the sky as you would a bothersome gnat.
Is this truly so complex a puzzle? Or have you no stomach for the obvious solution?
What in the hells are you doing here?
A pleasure to see you too, Garland. Now, if you'd be so kind as to explain to these good people why you should be begging me for my assistance, that would be most appreciated.
Who is this man?
Oh, how terrifically rude of me. Nero Tolskeva, former tribunus of the 14th Legion of the Garlean Empire. These days, however, one might say that I'm something of a free agent.
What do you want, Nero?
I was getting to that. Although you already know what I'm about to propose, old friend. As you have rather belatedly realized, within that frail binding lurks an entity alike in strength to the great Bahamut, and the only force in existence which might conceivably contend with such a foe is the very creation which captured the Elder Primal in the first place. I speak, of course, of Omega.
Omega? That hulk has been gathering dust beneath the plains of Cartano since the Allagans breathed their last. And none alive knows how to wake it.
I'm sorry? Do you understand who it is with whom you have the privilege of speaking? I'm Nero Tolskeva, Master Engineer, the mechanical genius who restored the Ultima weapon to full operational capacity. And as luck would have it, I am graciously offering you the use of my considerable expertise.
And what, you just expect us to accept? You're a fool if you think your deeds at the Crystal Tower are enough to win my trust, Nero.
Trust? You wound me, Garland. All those years, studying side by side at the Academy, sharing both trial and triumph, we were countrymen once, you and I. But sentiment aside, have you a better solution? Or do you mean to send in your vaunted hero there, as you always do, and pray the world is not engulfed in flame. Let us approach the problem in a rational manner. Does not the fact that Omega slumbers in stasis point to the existence of some overriding technology? A means of control?
I would ask a question, if I may. Nero, was it not? In the event that we succeeded in using Omega to shackle the Primal in the manner you propose, what then would become of it? Do we not risk repeating the mistakes of the Alagans?
Omega is but a tool. How we choose to employ that tool is entirely up to us. Of course, if you would rather leave it buried beneath Cartano while you continue your petty squabbles above, then I suppose that is also your choice.
Spare us, Nero. The Seedseer's concern is a valid one. He who controls Omega wields the power of the gods, the very power which led the Alagans to destroy themselves.
And does it not fall to we engineers to prevent such misuse? What was your company's proud slogan? Freedom through technology?
A creed you follow, is it? What say you? Do we take this villain at his word? He makes me grind my teeth, is what he does. But I suppose we don't have much of a choice. Would the Council be willing to entrust this matter to a pair of former Imperials?
Yes. The task of restoring the Alagan relic will be yours. But the responsibility for its reawakening must remain with the Council. Do we condone this course of action?
Aye. 'Twould seem we do. Let the record show that we invest this contingent with the authority to enter Cartano and take command of Omega. Sid, I appoint you leader of the expedition. Scions, I would ask that you assign some few of your number to escort Master Garland and supervise the other one.
We should be happy to oblige. The politics of Cartano being what they are, I dare say our neutrality will prove useful in avoiding any unnecessary entanglements.
If I am not mistaken, Doma occupies a similarly neutral position. Might we not persuade you to join the expedition, Lady Yugiri? If you suspected any foul play from Nero, you would be welcome to kill him.
My blade is yours.
Not a moment's hesitation, eh? You'll forgive me if I do not shake your hand. So these are the fabled headquarters of the Scions. I confess I would have expected an order of self-proclaimed warrior scholars to surround themselves with the fruits of man's enlightenment. And yet there's not so much as a single piece of magitech in sight. It never ceases to amaze me how primitive you Eorzeans truly are.
Oh, I'll have you know that the Rising Stones is home to the very latest in magitech innovation. Wedge calls it the Mark 14 Thermocoil Boil Master, and it's the finest kettle I've ever had the pleasure to own.
We are returned. Well, Ida and I, at least. Ishtola and the others remain behind to continue their assessment of the binding magic.
There didn't seem much point staying just for that, so I decided to come back with Alphino. Papalimo bought us this time. We shouldn't waste it.
By your leave!
Good gods, that voice could fell a gigas.
This is the Rising Stones, domicile of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. I enter at the invitation of one Lord Urianger. I spy you there, Shadow Walker. You always were a hard one to find.
Yugiri, do you know this man?
Gosetsu! Why are you come to Eorzea?
In search of you, Yugiri. For days and nights did I row across the angry sea. I made port in good spirits, only for my own flesh to betray me over the trifling matter of an empty belly. Collapsed in the street like an unfed stray I was, until Lord Urianger came to my aid. Over a most welcome meal, we spoke of the plight of Doma, and I learned of our displaced countrymen's work to resettle this blighted land. 'Twas blind fortune that I was able to locate you so swiftly. But now we must make ready to depart. Our master languishes in dire peril, and Doma calls her daughter home.
It is not so simple, Gosetsu. There are obligations which bind me here.
You refuse? Did you mislay your oath during your flight from our homeland? The laws of hospitality must be honored, but surely the vow to defend your master demands the greater obeisance.
It was our master who bid me guide our people to safe haven by any means necessary. And it was the Scions you see before you who provided us succor and sanctuary when all others refused. Dire peril or no, were I to return without first repaying such hospitality, our master would cut me down at the threshold.
Mayhap that is so.
There is more. A crisis threatens all within this realm, Eorzean and Doman alike, and I go to play my part in its resolution. I will not bring shame upon our liege by abandoning my people or my duty.
How very noble of you. Now, in the name of honor, kinship, and, yes, practicality, might I suggest we get this expedition underway? Or would you rather debate the finer points of duty and leave Omega to the Empire?
The Empire? Yugiri, you draw steel against the curse of Garlemald? Then why did you not say so? My blade is oath-bound to fall upon the ranks of the Imperials wheresoever they march. Lead on, Shadow Walker, and may the enemy tremble at our coming!
Now, where was that? Ah!
I've enabled the teleporter. One brief jump and we shall arrive in Omega's control room.
How convenient. You've been here before.
Of course. It was no easy task threading a path through all the skirmishes. But how could I ignore the existence of such a fascinating toy? You may trust that my preliminary examination was suitably thorough.
Trust? Aye. I trust your appetite for technology.
I chased down a suspect airship, and who should I find but the traitor, Sid Garland. Searching for something, engineer? Something big? It's close, isn't it? It's like all my name days have come at once.
Of all the scouts the Empire could have sent. Take care of that brute, will you?
God damn it. Can't let Nero tinker around in there by himself. I'm sorry to leave you to it, but I dare say you'll manage without me. This clod has no idea who he's dealing with.
I am Gosetsu, Samurai of Doma. You will rue your choice of opponent this day.
This one'll sting. Your defense is nothing. Damn you! No holding back! No retreat! No surrender!
Look upon a samurai of Doma!
It's all over now. And opening.
With Zolan Steel!
Your defense is lacking.
With soul and steel!
It's all over now.
Leave this to me.
Look upon a samurai of Doma!
No holding back.
An opening.
I have you!
You watching, Papalimo?
No retreat. No surrender.
'Tis my right to strike!
This one'll sting.
Is nothing.
With soul and steel!
It's all over now.
Leave this to me.
Temporal stasis disengaged. All systems operational. Garland?
All clear on this side. It's waking up.
Remarkable! Omega sensors immediately detected the presence of the cocoon, even at this distance. They must have been set to scan for sources of energy exceeding certain magnitudes.
I still don't see any means to control the machine directly. It seems to have been designed to act wholly autonomously. Once we release Omega, we can be fairly certain it will attempt to capture the Primal at Belsar's Wall. Assuming its mission is successful, our only option at that point will be to re-engage its stasis system and put it back to sleep.
And should the machine happen to misbehave, we'll simply initiate an emergency shutdown. I confess we don't yet have a complete grasp of its capabilities, but I'm certain the details will not elude us for long.
Well, I understood less than half of that. So, my question to you is, are we doing the right thing? I suppose not. All right. Step aside, Sid. Is this the thing I need to press?
Yes, that's the one.
You gave too much for us to waste this chance, Papalimo. So this is for you. And me.
Yes! Fly free, my pretty! Show us what you can do.
The launch sequence has begun. Omega is loose. Huh? Omega has stopped transmitting. But that shouldn't be. I didn't engage the stasis system.
And what does this signify? I have little understanding of these contrivances.
The launch went exactly to plan, but all signals emanating from Omega have ceased. This may indicate any number of things, but we will need to join the Scions out in the field if we are to ascertain which one.
Right. I've ordered a malfunctioning beast to go to sleep. That should prevent any unfortunate mishaps. I suggest we make our way back to Gridania.
Omega destroyed the cocoon. Papalymo's spell is fading. It was bound to his ether, you see. And if the connection is broken...
My friends, I cannot well express how glad I am to see you both unharmed. They say that Omega's clash with the Primal shook the very firmament.
You need not have worried. The battle took place far above the ground. We were able to observe in relative safety, though I'm given to understand that there were casualties on the far side of the wall.
It was like watching a nightmare unfold before our very eyes. Ilburd's primal manifested in the form of a colossal dragon, a being of pure violence. It burst forth from the cocoon with such terrible force.
That such a horror should spring from the eyes of Nidhogg comes as no surprise. Nor do I wonder at its form. Ilberd all but announced it in the moments prior to his death. Plainly, it was his dying wish to visit a second calamity upon the Empire.
And I am quite certain the abomination would have obliged had it not found itself outmatched by Omega. Gods! I am no stranger to the works of Allag, but even I was unprepared for the machine's furiosity. It beggared belief.
And how fares poor Ida in the midst of all this? Have you spoken with her?
She is up on the platform, lost in thought. We deemed it best not to disturb her, but mayhaps she would welcome some company after all. Shall we?
The light's gone. It was all we had left of him.
Ida.
I don't blame anyone. I knew what was going to happen. I knew the spell Papalimo meant to cast would drain away his life force. I knew that it would only buy us a little time.
Ida, there is no need to explain.
But there is. I can't hide in Papalimo's little shadow anymore, and I shouldn't hide behind my sister's mask. 20 years ago, on the day the Empire marched into Alamigo, I was still just a child, not even 5 summers old. My father had been one of the leaders of the revolution. He had fought to overthrow the Mad King, Theodoric. And my sister had fought alongside him. But she was strong and kind, and always knew what to do. But when the Garleans came, everything changed. My father went to war against them too, and I never saw him again. After that, I remember a lot of running. My sister dragged me for malms and malms until we came to the city of Sharlayan. That was where she met Master Louis Soir. He introduced her to the Circle of Knowing, and she eventually became an Archon.
She was your inspiration. Is that not why you took up her mask and her name? Or did you simply mean to continue what she had started?
You've known all along, haven't you? That I wasn't Ida.
Of course. We all recognized you at once. 'Twas Papalimo who persuaded us to maintain the charade.
It was silly to think I could fool you. I knew that even then, but I sort of decided not to know.
Ida died 6 years ago, on a mission to smuggle refugees out of Alamigo. They say she was overwhelmed by Imperial soldiers when she stayed behind to save a little girl. She was so strong. There must have been a lot of them. I'm sorry for lying to you. My real name is Lise. When Papalimo brought me Ida's mask, it was meant as a keepsake, but I decided I wanted to be his new partner, to keep alive all the good that she had done. I didn't want to become Ida, exactly. At the time, though, I still didn't know who I was myself, and it almost seemed easier to play the role. Papalimo agreed to help, of course, but it was never what he wanted for me. He wanted me to walk my own path, and those were his final words to me. The Archon's mark he gave me is faded, and my last excuse along with it. So this is it. Whatever I choose to do from now on, I do as Lise. And I choose to continue my family's fight. I want Alamigo to be the country that Ida and my father always wanted it to be.
War is upon us once more.
Do you regret standing against the Empire? Would you have chosen a different road, knowing what you know now?
To claim that I never doubted the decision would be a lie. But I made my choice, and I have defended it with blade in hand ever since.
The battle continues, and our steel is needed. Come, Shadow Walker, we leave for the east, for Doma.